Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you are watching Remstar Says So. I'm gonna get right into this one. Um, it's a bit disappointing actually, but it looks like Wilder versus Fury 2 is off. Um, it looks like Bob Arum, as a co-promoter, looks like he's Tyson Fury's now main promoter. There's been a bit more light into Tyson Fury's new deal, and it's £80 million, not dollars, for a five-fight deal. I'm not a mathematician, but I think that's about £16 million per fight that Tyson Fury is going to be guaranteed on his purse, I assume, or maybe just extra. I don't really understand the ins and outs of how boxing contracts sort of work. But what can I say? Bob Arum done a meeting with Max Kellerman, and he was sort of beating around the bush about this Wilder, about a Deontay Wilder fight and offer and whatnot. And it basically sounds like Bob Arum don't want these two guys to fight next. Bob Arum, it sounds like, has presented Deontay Wilder with a five-fight opportunity, or he's putting that package together, and he wants Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury to have like maybe one or two sort of warm up fights before going back into the second stage. Whereas before, I think Frank Warren was sort of ready to throw Tyson Fury back into the lion's den. It's all nice and dandy, really, that Tyson Fury has signed this co-promotional deal, but I think Frank Warren might be losing more and more and more creative control over Tyson Fury. Another issue is BT Sports, who would have got massively behind this Tyson Fury deal. I can imagine they're probably kicking themselves as well. And the major issue is that Tyson Fury's been back, and two of his fights have been in the UK, and that was against Sefa Safiri and whoever else that other sort of walkover guy was. And then Tyson Fury went over to the USA to fight Deontay Wilder for the WBC title. Now that he signed this huge deal with ESPN, I would assume that we're probably going to see Tyson Fury fighting more and more and more in America. And if I were BT Sports, I'd be fuming. The reason why is because the viewership for Tyson Fury fights for BT will be lower. The reason why is because obviously the time zone between America and the UK is so great that most sort of American pay-per-view or just American fight cards, the main event will start anything from about 3:30 till 6 in the morning, all depending on the city where they're fighting. So if I was BT, I'd just be thinking to myself, shit, like this is going to affect our bottom line. Let's say, for example, they say that BT Sports pay-per-view done 720,000 pay-per-view buys for Wilder versus Fury, which is amazing. Um, but imagine the numbers it could have done had they had fought in the UK on UK time, because obviously all of us who had watched that fight, we were getting up to watch the main event starting at about 4 o'clock in the morning. I was one of the 720,000 pay-per-view buyers. I'm the sort of person where I believe in paying for a fight if it's justified, unlike Matchroom, who just like to throw every fight on pay-per-view. Um, Example being AJ versus Molina, AJ versus Brazil, AJ versus Takam. None of those are pay-per-view fights. And I hope that Frank Warren and BT Sports don't go down that road, um, throwing every fight on pay-per-view. I know we've just recently seen Josh Warrington versus Carl Frampton on pay-per-view, and I think Warrington versus Kid Galahad will be pay-per-view. And I know Billy Joe Saunders is stepping up to the super middleweight division, so I'm waiting to see what's going to happen on that one. But anyway, I digress. Back to what I was discussing. It doesn't look like Wilder versus Fury is going to be happening right away, which is a bit unfortunate. What makes it worse is that new revelations have come out. Deontay Wilder's team sent Tyson Fury a contract for 50-50, and Tyson Fury was sat on that. And the reason why is because obviously MTK Global and Frank Warren, they were ironing out the particulars to make this co-promotional deal with ESPN and Bob Arum's Top Rank. Where does this leave Wilder now? Where does this leave Fury? Well, I think Tyson Fury's next fight will probably be against maybe Kubrat Pulev or yeah. So I think Kubrat Pulev or maybe some knockover guy, like a journeyman or like a gatekeeper. The reason why is because Kubrat Pulev has recently signed with Bob Arum's Top Rank, and this could be great for Tyson Fury because I believe Kubrat Pulev may be the mandatory for the IBF title, and that would really shake things up if Fury beat him. Because what would happen is AJ would then have to defend his belt against Tyson Fury, and that would go into some sort of bidding war. And what happens if, Bob Arum and ESPN outbid the zone? Well, AJ would have to go and fight on ESPN. And according to Eddie Hearn, he can only fight on um, the Zone and Sky Sports. So, what would happen? Would he have to vacate that IBF title? Doubt it. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to seeing. Um, are you happy with Wilder and Fury doing something else and then meeting on down the line and sort of building this one up? Like me personally, I'm not really a fan of building up fights. The main reason why I say that is simply because what happens if one of them loses? Like, let's say, for example, what happens if Dominic Brazil sparks out Wilder? I mean, we all think that Brazil is shit, but it's heavyweight boxing. Anything could happen. What happens if Kubrat Pulev goes in there and he's just too technically savvy for Fury and he gets a points win? What happens if Big Baby Miller goes and knocks out Anthony Joshua? Do you know what I mean? All of a sudden now, the 50 million's gone. If Kubrat Pulev was to beat Tyson Fury, all of a sudden that 50-50 deal is gone. So, like everybody wants to talk about milking this and milking that and letting this fight marinate and so on and so forth. But for me, it's just a little bit dead because all that means is that you're running the risk of somebody taking a loss. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. Hit like, hit subscribe, press that bell icon, share this video. You're watching Remstar Says So.